Good morning, everyone. For our Sunday Moravian text reading, I've chosen the passage from 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 1 to 11. So please do take a few minutes to read that passage if you haven't done so already. Now, let me just put this passage into context. David, the shepherd boy, has now become the king of Israel. Saul, the previous king, is dead, and David has taken Jerusalem, the royal city. And the first thing that David does as king is to find the Ark of the Covenant and to bring it back to Jerusalem, back to the tabernacle tent, back into its rightful place. Now remember, the Ark of the Covenant was this golden box containing the 10 Commandments and Aaron's staff that had budded. It was shaped like a throne with cherubim, and God's glory, his presence, would descend and rest on it. The ark represented the presence of God on earth. Just as a little aside, at Christmas we celebrate a new ark, Jesus' body coming to earth. Anyway, throughout the entire reign of King Saul, the ark had been left in the house of a man called Obed-Edom. The whole reign of Saul, it was there. No wonder he had such a troubled, tragic reign. His leading was leadership without the presence of God. And because the ark was in the house of Obed-Edom, Obed-Edom's entire household was blessed, it says. Blessing is always first and foremost about God's presence, isn't it? That's what blessing looks like first and foremost. So David the worshipper, David the psalmist, he is so concerned with the presence of God that he brings the ark back to its rightful place in the tabernacle tent in Jerusalem. And it's brought back with great sacrifice, with dancing. You can read it in the previous chapter. If you remember, David danced before the ark of the Lord in his pants. Now in today's reading, God's presence has been restored to its rightful place. And it says that now David, he could rest. David could settle. That's what God's presence does. It stills us. It gives us rest. So David thinks, right, I've brought the ark of God back. God has given me rest. I know what I'll do. I'll replace that fabric portable tabernacle tent with a permanent structure, a temple made of stones and wood. And what we then read is Nathan the prophet's prophetic insight into David's idea. Basically, David had the right heart, the right motivation, but the wrong strategy, the wrong plan. Turns out, God was far less concerned with having a building and far more concerned with being on the move. His concern with his presence going into new places. I think that's really worth remembering in these days that we have been in. Turns out that God was far less concerned with what David could give to God and far more concerned with what God wanted to give to David. This is who our God is, our generous God, a God who cannot be outgiven. David wanted to build a house for God. Great heart, great motivation, but God wanted to build a house for David. And I think in this passage we see the need for the apostolic and prophetic working together in all that we build as a church and in society. And so today we are reminded that it's not about our mission, it's not about our plans for God, what we can do for him. Rather, it's about his mission and what he wants to do through us. We simply get to join in with his big story. And I don't know about you, but that is something I find incredibly liberating and incredibly exciting.